prospect of change, that change can actually occur in a lot of countries that seem almost ossified at this point.
And particularly for Lebanon, where you are and what's happening there right now.
And I think Lebanon is symptomatic of that kind of that demoralization. Again, this country finds itself in a crisis, basically another iteration of a crisis that's been going on for the past 6 years. There's a sense here that it's going to take violence before there's a resolution, and everybody's pretty much bracing for a few grim weeks, even months ahead. I think in Tunisia was kind of the bright spot. In some ways, Tunisia was a contrast to what we're seeing in Lebanon right now.
And how the government now, which we are also not getting much information about, how it is dealing and the situation with Hezbollah in Lebanon.
You know, it's a confrontation that divides the country pretty much evenly. But what makes it so combustible in some ways is that it cuts across questions of sect, of ideology, of the conflict with Israel. On one side, you have the government that is nominally supported by the Sunni sect in the country. Of course, you have Hezbollah, the superpower among the Shiite community here. So what's so dangerous about this conflict in some ways, it's not just a government opposition conflict. It's a conflict that could quickly turn sectarian, that could turn violent. It's deeply ideological as well. What we have is Hezbollah fearing the indictments that may be handed down by an international tribunal naming its members in the assassination of a former prime minister. That former prime minister, his son, is now the caretaker prime minister, was head of the government that fell last week. So what we're dealing with almost is a waiting period, waiting what's going to happen if we can see regional mediation, perhaps reach some kind of solution that's not all that likely. If it doesn't, we have a stalemate, and in past experience in Lebanon, that stalemate's only broken through confrontation and violence.
Anthony Shadid, I want to thank you for being with us, foreign correspondent for the New York Times. Also, Juan Cole speaking to us from the University of Michigan. Thank you for joining us. And I want to thank all the folks here at Democracy Now! Democracy Now! Produced by Shifat Al-Qudus, Mike Burke, Aaron Mate, Steve Martinez, Nicole Salazar, Hani Massoud, Robbie Karen, Mike DeFilippo, Miguel Noguera, our engineer. Special thanks to Becca Staley, Julie Crosby, Nick Gilla, Hugh Grant. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks so much for joining us.